Here we are. Now we're all here.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Robin Merades. Oh, hey, Heather. I'm Robin Merades from Charlotte, North Carolina. Got diagnosed in 2015, but looking back, once I understood the full constellation of symptoms, I've been having symptoms since like 2003, 2004, my early 30s. And the highlight of 2023 for me by far was spending all of July in Europe. We started with the World Parkinson's Congress in Barcelona. We were in Barcelona for about 8 to 10 days, and then we were in France for the remainder of the month of July. So we were in France for about 20 days. It was extraordinary.
I'd love to hear more about your trip to Barcelona. I know it was a great trip for many people. Kevin, I see you're not in your usual confines, and I don't know if the ukulele is with you, but maybe you can give us a little introduction about where you are and what's going on for you.
Yeah, greetings, everyone. I'm Kevin Kwok, and I'm calling in from the second part of my holiday journey here from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where I'm seeing my kids. So I've been living with Parkinson's for almost 15 years now, and seen a lot of cycles of good and not so, let's call them speed bumps and challenges through those 14, 15 years. But I'm here to say that you can still live a good life, but you have to adjust. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about adjustment over the holidays as part of that. My highlight for the year has been a long journey with working with research. In 2015, I testified at the FDA on what it was like to live with Parkinson's. And 7 years later, I was invited back to address the FDA and a committee. And I had seen a sea change of activity happening. And as someone who's been involved as a lifelong pharmaceutical biotech exec, I know drug research takes a lot of time. But for the first time, I started seeing glimpses of an inflection point of the investment in research. So we're still a long ways off from finding the cures. And so we focus on living well today, which I think we do very well here at the Davis Phinney Foundation. So I'm going to stop with that for the moment and give the mic to someone else, but I'm very happy to be here on this holiday call with you all.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, we're glad you're here with us. Amber, how about you give us a little hello, please?
Hello. So I'm Amber. I'm in El Paso, Texas. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2018, probably had it for years before. I would say that my highlight was also Barcelona. It was an amazing experience. I got to meet some of these incredible people face to face finally, some that I hadn't met in person, so it was very exciting.
It was great to meet you while we were there, for sure. Tom, you're next on my screen. Where are you at?
I'm in Arvada, Colorado. I'm in Arvada, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver to the northwest. So if you're familiar with the area, the Phinney office is about 10, 15 minutes directly north of me, and Denver's 10, 15 minutes the other direction. So that's where I'm at. And it's really, I'm glad we decided to do this. What we had planned was a good idea as well, but I think it's good to bring it collectively to the audience. And I think, what we're going to talk about today will be pretty interesting to everybody. But for me, the highlight of 23 was getting to the end of 23. So I'm ready for a 24. And so far, things are looking good. I think a lot of you heard I've had some health challenges, which I'm feeling like I've pretty much gotten behind me. At least I hope I have. I'm going to knock on the wood here. And if that's the case, then, it's full steam ahead. So.
Yeah, you've had a rough go in spurts this year, so I'm glad you're here with us, and maybe some of that story will come up in our conversation today. And Heather, you're up next, please. And I love your background today. This is great. You look like not everyone could see this, but Sam, who's in the background of the chat, said that Heather looks like she's a piece of art right now. She's sort of highlighted. So just thought I'd share that. So Heather, where are you? Tell us a little thing.
Piece of work. I've been called other things like a piece of work. So yeah, I love seeing your faces. Robin, you're just beaming. And Tom is in such a good mood. And Kevin, it was good to see you. And Amber, hi. I love your current work. You're cracking me up. Brian, how are you feeling? Chris, Sam, this has been really incredible to be part of this group. I don't know how I could talk about the past year other than to say, glad it's over, because it has been really rough. And I've made some changes, including just taking projects down to a personal level and stepping out of the public a little more. It doesn't mean I won't be working on behalf of everybody with neurological disorders, but I need to focus on something and get it done, including I hear a rumor there might be a podcast and a book. I don't know. I heard it somewhere. We'll see what happens. But I'll be stepping out of this and letting someone else come in, new, fresh energy. And thank you so much for this. And happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year. Fresh. Everything's going to be, we're going to keep working toward staying healthy together.
All right. Well, thanks, Heather. And Brian, you're up. Where are you these days? And what was your highlight from 2023?
I'm in the Huntington Beach area right now, and I'd say my highlights this year has been he's hiding here, but my service dog Charlie. Charlie, there you go. He's just been amazing. He's helping me more and more every day with things. So I feel like that's the biggest gift that I've received. And what was the other question?
No, you nailed it. I think that was the question to start us off. Just what was the highlight of 2023? And I think I might have to say the same thing in a certain way. I love dogs myself as well, and I'm blessed to have a number of good dogs in my life. So, and they're members of the family too. So that's a good segue to the topic for today, which is, the sort of stresses of the holidays and travel and socializing at events with Parkinson's, and just all the ways that the holidays can be both delightful and also can present a lot of challenges. So that can obviously touch on life in so many different ways. I mean, there's changes to and loss in some cases of relationships. Traditions can change and new ones can start, old ones can sort of become less accessible maybe. It's also just stressful. So there's a ton of things we can talk about, but I wanted to start us off by maybe talking about something that comes up in other contexts as well, which is just how do you respond when somebody that's not necessarily up to date on how things have been going for you, and they say, hey, how are you doing? And you got to think about, like, where do you start? How do you address that question with somebody who's maybe a family member or an old friend, and you don't know how far back to go? What do you do?
I ask them if they really want to know. Do you really want to know? Like, do you want the real answer? Or do you want the, I'm good, everything's great?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I just say, I'm okay, I'm doing all right, whatever, stuff like that. And I'll tell people, look, I had a rough year, but that's, things are still going the right way. So.
Yeah, I like that response to ask, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Because then because if they just want the answer, it's going good, then you can stop there. But if somebody says, yeah, I really want to know, then you can go into more detail for sure.
See, the thing that I've been hearing a lot over these last this month was I don't think I've ever seen you look so good before. You must be doing really well. And they just assume you're doing well and they move on. And it's like, I've had the most hellacious time in the last few weeks. And if you only knew.
Well,
Tell them you're a good actor.
That's right.
So I had something similar happen, but most of the time I just say, I'm doing fine, because I don't really want to go into whatever. And a lot of my stuff, as I've reported here over the years, has been that stuff is mostly annoying. It falls into the category of irritating and annoying. If it's debilitating, if it gets debilitating. But I had a friend, I went to a meeting and they get the topic leader on the spur of the moment. And someone I had not seen since before COVID came up to me and she said, "Hey, it's so good to see you. Hey, you'll lead our topic this morning." And you almost never say no in those circumstances. And I said, I just can't. And it was right before the meeting was going to start. And I said, "I'm happy to explain to you after the meeting, but I just can't. You're going to have to get someone else." So she did. And after the meeting, I said to her, "I was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's in 2015, and overall I'm doing fine, but it's really hard for me to explain how it's hard for me to knit together my thoughts. I can't really even explain to you how difficult it is to weave together my thoughts in a pressured situation where everyone's watching me." And I said, if I have time behind my computer and I can write something out and have time to think about it. So she was pretty understanding, and she said, "Well, why don't we just plan to have you do it sometime in the new year, and you can have time to think it through and write out your thoughts and bring a written statement," which I thought was surprisingly understanding. It was just not a response I was expecting. But when I try to explain what's hard, then I'm at a loss for words. I'm like, I just said, I just can't explain how hard it is to explain. It's like a ridiculous.
Yeah, that you
joke.
spiral, right? I was actually
Yeah.
wondering if anybody had a thought about that, whether anybody sends a note to their friends or family just as a regular sort of update to get that out of the way so you can have it in your own control. I did it when I was just diagnosed, just to let a lot of the folks know, so I didn't have to tell the story over and over again. But I don't make a regular habit of it. I was wondering if anybody has any thoughts about that.
I did a lot of that this year because of the situation I was in. And so I have 4 siblings. So between the 5 of us kids, who are all now old people, and my mom, who's an older person, so I did little periodic text messages to keep them all up to date with what's going on. But then, my brother had some issues as well as some other issues around the family, so we were all doing that, and it worked out pretty good. So we'll see each other here in the end of the week.
Amber, I think you were starting to say something.
I may have a little bit of a social media problem, so I do tend to put it all out there all the time. So I've been doing that where I'll like word vomit on social media and put it out there. For those that don't get my daily updates, I have a group of close friends and of course my family that they get all the gory details of all the things. But like the holiday season, starting with Halloween, Thanksgiving has all been rough. I'm super huge on Christmas, and this has been the least Christmassy I have ever felt in my entire life. So it's been interesting, but yeah, I definitely have shared mass ways like that.
Yeah, maybe Sam, if you're able, can you put the link in the chat for Amber's social media? Yeah, that's a good tool if people know to look at it. I don't know that everybody necessarily gets on the social media platforms that because you got to make sure everybody that you want to see the message is there, right? So it's good that if you can share a link generally like that. I wanted to also ask, I'll just broaden it out. Just what's the hardest thing about this time of year for you, given Parkinson's? How does Parkinson's affect your ability to engage with your friends and family? In not just in communication, but when you're at an event, if you're at a meal, how have you been affected by this in a positive way or maybe a less productive way?
I like to be. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Heather. I've already talked a lot.
No, I was just going to say, I like to be in service around the holidays. It means a lot to me to be able to give something back. So I'll go to the center, the homeless center down the street, the people of deficit housing, and I'll just see if I could work with them. This year I'll be doing a dinner. And there's some other things I like to do during the season, to go to places where people don't usually have visitors. Really means a lot to me to be able to do that. Just mask up, bring some bag of gifts and dress up in different outfits. And sometimes I'm Disco Donna when they show up and they're like, who's here? And I'm like, it's Jersey. I'm in the house. The bigger the hair, the closer to God. You ready, ladies? And I just come on in. It gives me great joy to do that. And also it's really about kids. I don't pay much attention to Christmas. I don't even have a tree. I just go over, enjoy the tree at my ex-husband's house. He always has this great tree. Plus, food is better when someone else cooks it. That's my tip for the holidays.
Don't look at me.
I'm thinking about Doug too, our friend Doug, who's here on the panel, who just had surgery. So I'm just thinking about him and people that just don't have a lot of guests coming in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think about I think about the way that being helpful seems to affect my own personal symptoms. And I actually find that I don't feel as much stress when I'm not focused on myself. So that can help my symptoms a little bit if I'm paying attention to other people. And so I can relate to what you just said, Heather, in terms of how it improves for me. If I'm helpful, then I feel a little bit relieved. Kevin, maybe you were about to say something too.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a caution that I have, and I'm midstream in the holiday travels right now. But be careful of what you get, what you wish for, because I was sitting there at Thanksgiving with no plans for December, and I was feeling kind of sorry for myself and kind of blue, thinking, I'm not seeing my parents, I'm not seeing my kids. So I went from Thanksgiving with 0 travel plans to 3 travel trips to all parts of the country, back to back, and it really it's taken its toll. The first one was actually just 4 days ago when I flew to California to see my ailing parents, who are both quite far along in their health issues. One has cancer, one has Alzheimer's. And let me tell you, rushing to a place to try to be a hero where you can't do much is very frustrating and very challenging. I ended up being chastised by family members trying to advocate for my parents by saying, you're questioning doctors and that's not your job. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's the story of our life as advocates, is asking questions, right?
Yeah, kind of your job.
That's what I agree. But anyway, all that to say that putting yourself into a family situation where there's sibling rivalry coming out and issues is a bad place to go. And I ended up coming home for 24 hours back to Boulder to pack up to go to North Carolina, and my body shut down. It just didn't want to go anymore. And I slept 14 hours. My girlfriend was like, should we cancel the trip? And I was like, no, I think we should go. And it was the most challenging trek in the airport at DIA, getting to the plane. I've never felt so ill walking. Juxtapose the scene with O.J. Simpson running through the airport versus the guy who clogs the moving sidewalk. That was me. I just sat there and couldn't move on the moving sidewalk. But I'm here to say this. I finally got here to Chapel Hill, and I got to see my wife, my ex-wife, and my 3 kids over the last 2 days, and it's been joyous. And I was so sick while I got here, but now that I'm here, there's such joy. And so I think that my message to people who are traveling is, if you try to avoid the situations that are going to put stress on your life, but do make an effort if you can to the places that are joyous for you. I think it's really important to make sure you know the difference. The last part to this is, if for some reason you're alone, there's some good value to having quiet, because I'm spending Christmas Day through New Year's back in Boulder, quiet, alone in my own place. with my girlfriend and just enjoying the quiet. It's not so bad. If I were now to fast forward the last two trips, I think I'm ready to take a breather.
I hear that.
I'll bring a 6-pack and some Oreos and we'll have a
All
party on
right.
Tuesday.
Some Oreos.
I'm with you, Tom.
Yeah, double stuff. All right. Yeah, this time of year is kind of it's exciting, it's fun, all the kid stuff and all the big kid stuff. But I find I have to really plan carefully for how much I do and like how late we might stay someplace. Because I turn into a pumpkin like at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And my family doesn't see me that often when I'm really off. So I have to be real cautious of that, and which kind of costs us some social time with other friends. But it's sort of the way of life. And I'll bring an extra load of meds with me just in case we get stuck, and I'll take a few more Cinemet just to get me through maybe another hour or two to get me closer to like 11 or midnight even. So, but yeah, that's the biggest stress I have. Everything else kind of shuts down in my world. I'm just happy to see my kids. They usually come back each year for Christmas, and that's to me the best gift I can get. So that's what I look forward to.
Yeah, Robin.
I really related to what Kevin said about rushing in to help someone where you aren't really equipped the way you used to be. And we were supposed to go down to Florida for Thanksgiving, and we ended up in the ER with my partner, not me, but my partner. He's fine, but it ended up being like a kidney stone kind of situation. And he felt really guilty that we were canceling all of our Thanksgiving plans. But I love the quiet weekend that other people have been talking about. But I went down to see my mom last week, and I don't want to take family medical leave to help her go Christmas shopping. That doesn't feel good, like with integrity. So I was working in the morning hours and taking her in the afternoon to do things. And it about wiped me out. I was sleeping in my niece's bed. I wanted to come home and have my own bed, my own shower, my own routine. And I realized I cannot do the superwoman things that I used to do. I have to adjust. I have to figure out a different way to do it. So I don't know what my next trip down will look like. That's probably going to be in February, but I'm going to have to make some adjustments.
I think that's important. This year, so normally, like I said, I go really big for Christmas, and I was at a point where I wasn't going to do anything. Apathy and like energy and fighting with the kids about decorations was just not on the top of my priority list. But my entire family came over and they decorated inside and outside with the kids. So it's not about not doing it, but just finding different ways to do it. It's important to the kids, and I still have young ones, so trying to make the magic of Christmas happen is difficult right now, but just trying to push through and get it all done.
Yeah, so that's actually making me think about another thing that can be a change you have to make, and that would be, so for some people, let's just say there's a tendency to go with maybe not just one 6-pack at the holidays, and maybe not just the single stuffed Oreos, but the double stuffed Oreos. So, that's one thing that is important to keep in mind is just the way that you're what you can do in the sense of what you can consume and how alcohol might affect it, or anything you might encounter during the holidays might change your medication effectiveness. And so that's a factor that people have to think about too, that changes. You can't necessarily sit down and have a glass of wine with somebody, much less two, in the same way you might have, and not have that change your symptoms. So that's something that a lot of people have said to me has changed for them, is that the way that their eating habits change their medication effectiveness. So something else to keep in mind.
Good point. For the record, I don't drink beer. But I do.
But yeah, it could have been a 6-pack of LaCroix or something for sure.
Yeah, well, no, I meant beer, but but I usually don't drink beer that much at all anymore. But I definitely overindulge in the chocolate or the Oreo cookies. So just full disclosure.
Well, I know who to seek out when I need my sugar fix.
There you go.
So one other thing that has occurred to me, and actually this is part of the reason we wanted to have this meetup, was that we caught wind of a couple of people who were recently diagnosed, and they had a. We just felt like we wanted to be present for people who might be sort of in a new phase of their lives with regard to Parkinson's. So I actually thought it might be good if we could just say a few words maybe about how to navigate the early times of Parkinson's in case there's somebody who's with us today that might be newly diagnosed, and especially at this time of year, which can be so dynamic and challenging. If we have any pieces of advice about how to navigate the early parts of a diagnosis. Yeah, Robin.
Well, I had a situation where I was newly diagnosed. I got diagnosed in November of 2015. So Christmas of 2015, some extended family members, they meant well, but they just kept saying, "How are you? How are you?" And I blew up at my brother-in-law, and it was like in front of the Christmas tree. We were the only two in the living room. And he said, "No, how are you?" And I said, "I'm really irritated." And I later apologized to him, but I think it's good to be prepared for weird reactions from your family and to have some talking points. It was after that exchange that I had with my brother-in-law that I sent an email out to family members explaining a little bit about Parkinson's and that I was just busy living a hassled life just like they were, and that my day-to-day had not changed that much. And I was still definitely coming to terms with my diagnosis, and I didn't know how to navigate that with as much grace as I would have liked to have. So if you can come up with some interesting talking points and some ways of putting people's fears for you at rest, and also their overblown pity. Hey, Doug.
Doug, how are ya?
Hey, Doug.
Doug, you're on mute.
Brian and Doug have had some tough times, health stuff. Here he is.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I was waiting at a pharmacy for a prescription to be filled.
I don't know what you mean.
Don't say it was Walgreens.
It was Walgreens.
They're like, sorry, park's closed.
So what did I miss?
Well, we solved all the world's problems.
Yeah.
What were they?
We cured Parkinson's.
Again?
Yay! Again.
You got to go back to the pharmacy, Doug.
I was about to say that it was a great excuse to get out of some of these parties where you get stuck talking to your neighbor by the sweaty cheese and the warm punch in the back of the room. And you don't want to be there. And you just feel like screaming and going outside to play with the dog. And you don't want to be around these people and you just want to leave. You say, I have Parkinson's. And they have no idea what you're talking about. It's perfect. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I've never done that.
All those family dinners where you're grinding your teeth. Everything's fine.
Doug, how you doing? How's it going with the surgery?
I met with my orthopedic surgeon yesterday, and the surgery that I have coming up on the 27th is going to be a little more intense than what we previously discussed. But if all goes well, they won't have to fuse my ankle. And so I'm hopeful for that and hopeful for a speedy recovery. But he tells me everything he's going to do is still the same recovery time, 6 weeks non-weight bearing. So hopefully by the end of February, I'll be back on my feet, 2 feet.
Physical therapists are your best friends.
Yeah, I have a very good physical therapist who has a handful, if not many, Parkinson's patients.
Great.
Yeah.
Doug, are you willing to share a little bit about how you're navigating these I mean, so we all have holiday stresses, and you've got like an extra dose of them. So I'm just wondering if if you can say a little bit of how you're navigating the sort of upcoming surgery and like what you're thinking about as you go into that process of
Well,
being in the hospital.
historically, I've struggled with apathy around the time of the holidays, and decorating my house always seems like a burden, and my daughter always asks for it. And this year, with all the surgeries and problems that I've had with my legs, I just decided to not boycott Christmas, but not decorate and not set up my Christmas tree because my kids haven't been around a lot to help me out. And I really haven't had much help. I do have a friend who's staying with me now who recently was laid off from her job. So that worked out that she could come and stay with me and grocery shop for me and take me to Walgreens and take me to my doctor's appointments. But this year, I'm just looking forward to the holidays being over with.
Yes, you set up some barriers and you said, I got to prioritize in these ways. And that seems sensible. And I'm glad that somebody's been able to get out and spend some time with you, an old friends. Nice to have people around.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have friends.
You can call on us, Doug. We're there for you.
Thanks, Kevin. I was amazed that the day after my surgery, how many people from the Phinney Foundation reached out to and contacted me and wanted to know how things are going. So you guys are fantastic. And I appreciate every single member of the Parkinson's community.
They're so good, right? They're so good. They've showed up so many times.
Yeah. I got a gift card, or an electronic gift card to Grubhub from Cat Hill. She told me that others of you on this panel had contributed. So for those of you that contributed, I greatly appreciate it. It's really kind of you.
And Brian's had some tough times with his health as well. I know because I just had the spinal surgery that you may be getting, Brian, correct?
We talked about it yesterday. They're not going to do the fusion. They're going to do an easier approach. But something's gone wrong with my knee. It was real swollen yesterday. They went to drain it and it was filled with blood. So I don't know what's going on now. I had to cancel my trip and the doctor's going to meet with me tomorrow. So I keep ending up in a precarious position.
It saved my leg to get the surgery all the way through with the fusion, but that's just doesn't work for everybody. I understand because my legs and my knees were a mess too. Just saying. I hope that you've worked that out. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, they'll figure something out. I'll just go where they point.
Yeah, Brian, you and I've had a tough 2023.
And Tom, all of us. Yeah. Well, and really all of us.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, it's Parkinson's is like Michael J. Fox says, it's the gift that keeps on taking. And it's more about managing the attitude I'm finding these days than it is about managing the disease. And with the non-motor challenges that we have with Parkinson's, that can be a pretty challenging front. But as I've said in the past, I speak up about it and I get help. And I'm doing a 4-week interview for this program that's very called dialectical behavior therapy. It's a big commitment. It's a 6-month commitment. But it's to help with the psychological aspects, the challenges that I've had pounding on me. So I feel very hopeful. And again, it's just speaking up and good things come.
And I think with Parkinson's and it just being, I'm in my early 60s now, but not knowing what's around the next corner has become really something I'm quite acutely aware of these days. I can't predict it. I don't know how I got into some of the situations I got into this year, but nonetheless, they're still there. So I find myself having to do I have to find myself reminding myself to do the thing I promised myself I'd do a couple years ago, which was try to talk myself into doing the things that I don't want to do because I have Parkinson's. So in other words, it became really easy for me to say, well, I can't do that. I have Parkinson's. But then I thought one day, why don't I just take this from a different perspective and say, well, maybe I can still do that. And I'll spend my time talking myself into doing that instead of talking myself out of doing that. And that helps still. Some of the days that you feel like crap, you don't want to get up and don't want to get going, or this hurts or that hurts, it's like, well, part of it's being 63, part of it's being Parkinson's, part of it's having this and that and the other. Get your butt out of bed and let's get going, buddy. And that's all there is to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of like my message to everybody that I was going to say when we were going to record the other things. Just, don't stop, get up, get going, and keep going, and just don't stop.
Kind of like what Heather.
Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
I was going to say, kind of like what Heather said at the beginning, getting out and helping others. I've found I've gotten much more in touch with my veteran roots. And that's one of the great blessings this year, because I did the No Barriers Warriors program and found a lot about myself and my time in the service. And, one thing I caught at the doctor's office today was veterans who don't have families are meeting at the American Legion. And I thought, maybe I'll go do that. I'll just hang out with others there. But it's being outside of Parkinson's and yet being there for somebody else in another way is always what kind of lifts me up out of the doldrums of what Parkinson's keeps giving us.
And, as we look around, I see a lot of grief and trauma and suffering around the holidays, because a lot of people, they have that heightened workload, they have that heightened family situation. We're reminded of people that we've lost around the holidays and so on and so forth. So it's just hard. So a little gentleness, a little bit more kindness, a little more patience is what I'm trying to do. Sometimes it works.
Well, I can tell you it works. I hear from Heather once in a while, and I talk to Kevin pretty regularly, Brian, and it's always good to kind of encourage each other and help each other along the line, and that's really helpful. That's Christmas every day when I talk to you guys. So real helpful, and of course I like to spread that on from here in this group out to the group that's lined up in the chat session right next to me here. So.
There's actually a couple things in that chat right now that are maybe worth talking about. First of all, I want to draw attention to something that Paul just said, which is that staying in action has been key for me physically and emotionally. And I think that's a really great piece of great observation, that sometimes you need to act your way out. You can't talk yourself out or think yourself out. You got to act your way out. I think it's a great piece of advice, and I think it might actually be related to another bigger question that was asked by Mike, who said, how specifically does Parkinson's affect the spine or legs or knees? And that's such a big question in terms of why the Parkinson's can affect those things is that's a really huge question. But the ways that Parkinson's is affected or affects your legs and all that. So I wonder if we can just talk a little bit about that just to address it, since there's people on the call who've had issues with that this year. I don't know if anybody wants to take that on. I mean, Brian, I know you had some situations, and Doug too, so maybe you can take a stab at it.
Yeah, Parkinson's gave me problems with my gait and my balance, and biologically, I'm not sure why, other than I speculate that my leg muscles get fatigued more easily than a non-Parkinson's patient, and they stay fatigued longer. So all the more important reason why to keep exercising. In my case, I skied and pushed it too hard, and my legs weren't as strong as I figured they were, and they were fatigued, and I wound up falling and breaking my leg. Live and learn, but I was out doing something I was having fun doing.
I think we sort of live on the fine line between pushing ourselves and getting joy from that achievement while still preventing any kind of injury that that takes away the ability to exercise. It's a fine line, I think, that we all push.
Let's live now. What can we do? What is working?
To piggyback on something Tom was saying earlier, it comes down to, for me, one of the important things to do is to remember my gratitudes on a daily basis and just being thankful that I'm not being bombed, that I have fresh water to drink, that I have family that loves me, I have friends who care about me.
So the way that Parkinson's has affected my back and my spinal alignment is that I was getting dystonia in my back, and just different muscles were cramping, and it caused a whole sort of like the head bone's connected to the neck bone kind of situation where my hips got out of alignment. I ended up with hip bursitis. I was going to all kinds of physical therapy, but at the end of the day, it wasn't even about sleeping. I got a new mattress. I mean, I did all of this stuff, and it was all caused by dystonia in my back. And now the dystonia in my back is gone, and instead I have dystonia in my jaw. So that's what it is for today. You know, like I get like headaches. It's almost like crushing pain in the sides of my face.
Me too. And my neck and back, legs. I try not to talk about it too much because it's really depressing. I don't leave my flat very much. I just assume that everybody's dealing with this in greater concentrations as time goes on. I just assume you are all hurting. Everybody here is hurting. But what is working? You know, like what can we do? What are we looking forward to? Do you have something to look forward to? You know, there's always, and by the way, Robin, I'm not responding to you. I'm just saying, like in general, I kind of want to move a little bit away from the back. I just had a very traumatic experience with emergency back surgery in the ER, and I can't stay here too long. It was really, I can't really talk about it too much without getting really emotional. But I would like to focus on one thing that I'm really grateful for. I have a friend who's been helping me. She attends the care meetings, and it's very important for us to look at the people that are caring for us in our life, who are helping us, like all the people that help us. Maybe it's one of your kids, you know, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe just people that stop in and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Or "What's going on?" The little times that people can say things that just like, you know, lift you, or like, "Hey, do you need a ride to the party?" Or "Hey, are you going?" Or "I was thinking about you." Just a phone call. It's such a huge lift for us.
On that front, I thought, you know, as we approach the end of our time, I thought it might be good if we sort of took up Heather's question and a little more generally and say, maybe if we can each go around and say what we're looking forward to in 2024. And, you know, for me, I'm looking forward, in part, my answer would be to continuing to navigate this with my partner, Bridget, who's like absolute rock star, like never falters. Like she's absolutely great. And I'm just really looking forward to continuing to navigate this whole thing with her. But I'm sure other people have other answers, and I have other answers to that question too, besides that, or in addition to that. But maybe Doug, if you can start us off and just something you're looking forward to about 2024.
Sure. And Heather hit on it. I think it's extremely important to have something to look forward to always have something to look forward to. And for me in 2024, I'm looking forward to not having surgery and being able to walk on both feet and just feeling healthy and being able to exercise on a regular basis with my legs and walking again.
Yeah, moving forward.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to look forward to, you bet.
I'm now I have one thing I was looking forward to, which is Christy being on the call with us. Hi, Christy.
She's moving right now.
Yeah, she's on the move right now.
She's dual tasking.
Oh.
Hi guys. I just want to stop in and say hello. I stopped. I'm not on the phone while driving.
Okay, good.
Oh, you're just moving the phone.
Yeah, I'm just
That's what I do like they do in the movies.
We're all going to yell at you to hang up and drive.
That was very clever.
This is kinetic.
I thought that it was I think that was great. That's a great effect. Now we know how they do it in Hollywood.
So why don't we move around and can keep moving through this looking forward to 2024. And while you just joined us, Christy, maybe you can tell us what's exciting to you about 2024.
I'm kind of excited that I'm going to have DBS in May. So I know that everyone has this mixed feelings about it, but I'm really excited for it because I have so much off time now. Like I have like 5 hours of off time a day. It's terrible. So I'm excited about possibly that going away.
Yeah,
Or at least some of
understandable.
it. And dyskinesia. So off times to dyskinetic. It's really fun.
I've been there. DBS worked miracles for me, so I wish you good luck.
It's terrible. Like every time I try to go work out, like my meds go off. So not
Mine
fun.
too. With DBS, mine too.
Yeah. So Brian, what about you? What are you looking forward to for 2024?
I think I got a real good taste again of doing advocacy work with the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I had to get our congressperson to sign up for the Parkinson's bill, and it was really awesome to be able to do that and to hear another person who was doing that, and it just kind of pointed me back to all the stuff I was doing when I was really active with it. And I really want to do that more. And I want to do it for metastatic breast cancer too, to continue what Lily and I were doing. So I think that's my big hope, is just to get, and that's a great way to get outside of ourselves, but to get more involved in the advocacy work.
Sure. Tom, what are you looking forward to 2024?
A lot less time in the doctor's office, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think really I'm looking forward to seeing you all once a month for the year. This is one of the highlights of my month. Each month is to be on this council and be with all these great people and help you all come along. And we're going to be making a big announcement in a couple of weeks about pedaling for Parkinson's. I think will interest a lot of you out there. And if you have any questions about that, just stay tuned to that. Watch the webpage, pedalingforparkinsons.org. And we're going to have a major announcement on that coming up about mid-January. And then I'm also looking forward to however many of you can find your way out to Boulder, Colorado for the Tour to Victory Cycling Challenge. I know Brian's been there and Doug's usually there every year. I don't know, Doug doesn't ride, but he comes by and helps out and everything. But again, any one of you out there, you're all welcome to come out and ride bikes with us and raise some money for the Phinney Foundation. It's really a fun time. Or I'd look forward to running into you in line to get into a restaurant in Hawaii, if you like. And so then there's a true story behind all that. But anyway, that's my 2024 look view ahead.
I'll meet you in Hawaii for Oreos and the beach. Heather, what are you looking forward to for 2024?
Technology that works. Also, more ease, more love, more chill. I feel very responsible when I take on projects, and I have some projects that are pure fun right now. One of them is absolutely painting my way through life. Just, I really enjoy the things that are coming up, the creative work I'm doing with other people. And there's a great project coming up that I'm really looking forward to. But one of the things I love to do is paint. More painting time. Ta-da!
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I love your backgrounds, but I also really love when I see you on a call and your paintings are in the background. It's always great to see them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more paintings too.
Yeah, that's your best background right there. That's cool.
Friends and family. Maybe I'll come see one of you. Look out, that's a threat.
All right. So Robin, what are you looking forward to for 2024?
Well, in 2023, I finished cutting the glass on a major piece that I'm doing for stained glass, and I've started foiling. So I hope to finish this project. It's been a couple of years in the making. I don't work on it all the time, but when I'm finished with it, I will definitely take a picture and screen share it and show you guys. I'm looking forward to that. And, I live for vacations. So we've booked a couple of really good vacations. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to cycle Crater Lake, Oregon this year. That's going to be our 2024 trip.
When
Tom,
you
when
get to-
Tom, when is the thing in Boulder? What are the dates?
It is May 18th.
All right, I wrote it down. I'll email you.
I hope to see you there.
Well, if you're going to be at Crater Lake, I'm not that far from there, so maybe we can meet up while you're out here.
Oh,
That'd be great.
cool.
And Kevin, I think you're last on my screen. So what are you looking forward to in 2024?
Well, you know, the Davis Phinney Foundation has been around now for 20 years, bringing quality of life to all of the people on the screen here. That's 20-year anniversary. And so what I'm really looking forward to is celebrating all of the activities that the Davis Phinney Foundation will continue to go forward with. I think with that, also, I'd like to give one little message. I love this group. I love being around you all. I learn from you. Hopefully, those in the audience that are watching us over the years have picked up some of the tidbits that we've all picked up just chatting with each other. I would do this for free, you know, because it's so important for me to have you guys in my life. But the thing that I wanted to make a plea for is things like this don't just fall out of the trees. You know, Santa's elves are working behind the scenes making this happen. And I'm very grateful for those of you at the Davis Phinney Foundation that put this on for us. And so what I'd like to ask is, as we come into the year end, think about, if you can, that contribution that will help us pay this forward to someone else. Because to me, this is invaluable. This is one of the most useful things that I've been a part of. And I would love to see more of these events sponsored, promoted, and put out there for others. So, you know, as we hit year end, think about a donation to pay it forward.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. That's really kind of you to say all that on our behalf. And you know, I can say that we're all really grateful for all the contributions of the folks on this panel and everybody in the audience. And you know, it's really a delight to get to support each other. And so, you know, thanks, Kevin.
One quick thing on the matching, on the donation this year, or right now, people who donate, they do a matching. So whatever you give, somebody else is going to match it.
Yeah, but up until the end of the year. So there's a match until up to $100,000. We have a match right now. So if you give today, you'll end up with a doubled gift. So that's a great incentive.
With that, I want to say thanks to Carol, who just wrote, "Thanks for the reminder, sending my contribution today." Thank you, Carol. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Carol. And thanks everybody for being here with us. We're really glad you joined us today, and we're glad you did so on the last minute, so to speak, because we weren't originally planning to do this today. And so thanks for being here. Yeah, just take care. Have a great holiday. If we can help in any way, reach out to us at blog@dpf.org. Have a great one, everybody.